Hi everyone, welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. I had to think for a minute there. And this is episode 290. Wow, only 10 away from 300. That is hard to believe. I am Carol, also known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry, and I live east of Vancouver in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada, where it is overcast at the moment. We had a little bit of rain earlier this afternoon, maybe about an hour ago, but it's got that hot, muggy feeling to the day. The other night, we had a huge thunder and lightning rainstorm. I was lying in bed about 2 o'clock in the morning and just listening to it come down. It's just a fantastic sound, especially because we really do need the rain. I have a sister visiting from Ontario at the moment, and she said their summer has been nothing but rain. And then she comes and visits here, and guess what? More rain. Anyway, this is not a weather channel. This is a mostly knitting podcast. So maybe we should move on to what you actually came here for. Before I show you all of the projects I've been working on over the past couple of weeks, just a reminder, there are 2 make-alongs taking place in the Ravelry group as we speak. The first is a year-long chatter thread called Smash the Stash. The aim is to make things with your yarn, fiber, and pattern stashes. And then there's also the third of 4 quarterly make-alongs that will take place this year. Right now we are in the middle of Rock Your Socks. As you might guess from the name of the make-along, it's all about footwear. So socks, slippers, leg warmers. Someone asked about yoga socks. Those are fine as long as you are using at least 50 yards of yarn. And if you feel like making a Christmas stocking, go for it too. I have 2 finished projects. I have 3 works in progress, including a new one. Yay for new content. A bit of spinning and lots to talk about what I've been up to over the past couple of weeks. Oh, and also some up-and-coming projects that I'm excited about. So settle in for a little while, grab yourself something to drink if you would like, and yeah, I hope you'll keep me company, or if I keep you company for the next, I'm gonna guess probably close to an hour. It's late in the day here. It's almost 3:30, so I'm going to try and get through this pretty quickly, and I'm hoping to be able to get things edited and uploaded by this evening, but there is a chance it won't be until tomorrow. We'll just see how things unfold. So first up, a finished project I am delighted to show you because I started this pair of socks over a year ago, back last July. This pattern is the Caribou Fall Socks, which is a pattern that I published a few years ago, which is available on Ravelry and also on Etsy. And I have called my project the Okanagan Fall Socks. Both the Caribou and the Okanagan are regions of British Columbia, and the Okanagan is known for its fruit production, including apples. And I was inspired to reference that region because the colorway of the yarn that I'm using is called Apple Picking. This is the Super Sweet Sock base from Sweet Fiber Yarns, which is a British Columbia and fairly local to me yarn dyer. So I had knit several samples of these socks when I put out the pattern, and never had knit a pair for myself. So now I have my own pair that I can wear this fall. I'm going to put things on pause because I can feel a tickle in my throat. I'm going to cough. I'll be right back. Thankfully, I am not sick, although it felt the other day like I was coming down with something. It was just a little catch in my throat, a little saliva going down the wrong way, I think. Anyway, let's bring these in closer, and this light is showing off this awesome stitch pattern really well. It looks quite complicated. It is not. It's very intuitive, and I just love, I always say I love the movement in this pattern. Just the way it's knit, it looks like the stitches are moving in waves, and really it could not be simpler. This pattern has a ribbed cuff, and I think I also did a garter stitch cuff. I should know, shouldn't I? Pretty sure I did a garter stitch cuff, picking up on the garter stitch in this stitch pattern. But I did ribbing for this one. Has a traditional heel flap and gusset, and my usual rounded toe. So I am delighted to not only finish these socks because I've had them on the needle so long, but also because I'm able to check off another project from my project pool for the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Make Along this year. And so if you're interested in checking that out, head over to the Ravelry group for Fiber Nymph Dye Works. Or also the Fiber Nymph Dye Works website, and there's a link to, I believe, to the blog there and to where you can take part in it. So at the beginning of the year, I wrote down a bunch of projects I wanted to get done, and this was definitely on my to-do list, and I am thrilled to be finished. So that's finished project number 1. Finished project number 2 is another pair of socks. Coincidentally, the yarn is from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. This is my August Personal Sock Yarn Club pair of socks. The beginning of the year, I also put 12 skeins of sock yarn into bags, labeled them by month, and every month I pull out a new skein, and that's the socks I work on that month. It's not only a fun way to just revisit some, yarns I bought, could be quite a while ago in some cases. It also is a great thing for making me not have to go through my sock yarn every time I want to cast on a new pair of socks. Quite often I am paralyzed by choice. So this way I open up the yarn and I cast those on for the month. So I used, in this case, this is the Snow Tweed base, which is not a base that she carries anymore, but has little white flecks in it. Very different kind of tweed yarn, and a superwash merino base. And then I used a mountain tweed merino mini, leftovers from a mini, for these German short row heels. These are top-down sock, as is the Caribou, as were the Caribou fall socks. This is 64 stitches on a 2mm needle, and my usual rounded toe. So I'm going to bring one of these socks in closer. So I just did a little pop of color, as the Crazy Sock Lady calls it, at the cuff, just to start things off. Look at that fun yarn. There's my German short row heel and the toe. So also, I'm always happy to finish a project. It always just feels great to, cross another thing off the list. So happy with how these have turned out. I've had this yarn in my stash for several years now, and glad to see it knit up now. Okay, now I'm going to take a break because my nose is running. I swear I'm not sick. At least I don't think I am. I think it's just a chain reaction. So I'll be right back with works in progress. First up is Owen, a cabled sweater by Jennifer Wood of Woodhouse Knits. I'm knitting it from this Estelle Eco Tweed Worsted, which is a 75% organic wool and 25% cellulosic viscose. And this is color Q42406, which is red. And I hope the camera is picking this up. I did some photos for Ravelry, and it came up all orangey red, as did my Caribou fall socks, but this is a true beautiful blue red, and it's on my phone right now. It's turning up or showing up just the right color, and I'm hoping I can get some better photos of it for Ravelry. I did show this to you last week. This is another project I cast on last summer. I believe this was in August, and this is another project from my project pool, and I picked it up again a couple of weeks ago after having neglected it for a long time. And as I showed you last episode, I had finished the body. So there's the front, has a banded collar here. It has this pattern that runs down the sleeves, which is the same as the pattern that's on the panel that's on the front. And then this gorgeous cable detail on the back. Look at that. And so I have finished the first sleeve. Hooray! It ends with this seed stitch cuff. And this is a 3/4 length sleeve. So now finished the body, one sleeve, and as you can see, the stitches for the other sleeve are still on hold, but I'm hoping very soon to pick these back up and finish the other sleeve. So I'm really happy with the progress I've made on this. I would have liked to have seen it finished. Partly just life got in the way, but partly also another project caught my eye, which I will show you in a few minutes. Otherwise, maybe I could have finished this by this episode, but that's, you know, it wasn't what I wanted to work on at the time. So happy to have this sleeve done. Who knows, maybe in 2 weeks time when I record again, I will have the entire sweater done, which would be fantastic, and it would be ready to wear in time for fall. I always seem to be a season behind. I don't know how many winter sweaters I have finished, you know, right at the end of winter, and then it's too late to wear them more than maybe once. I originally, when I did my show notes this morning, this project was an up and coming, but is now officially a work in progress. So I have cast on another pair of socks. Actually, I'm going to hold on for a moment, and I'm going to show these to you in a minute. I think I'd rather kind of segue into them from another project that I'm going to talk about. So this is my blanket of cheer, which is a scrappy fingering weight mitered square blanket that I am working on using all Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarns. The semi-solid portions of the blocks are mainly from the 2022 Holiday Countdown collection, and then I have some minis thrown in there too, and then all the stripy sections are from leftovers or pre-used portions of self-striping skeins, and they've been knit up into socks over the years. So here's a couple of my latest blocks. Both of the self-striping sections are It's Wine O'Clock Somewhere. That's the colorway name. So you can see I had this Merlot mini skein, leftovers from that, and goes perfectly with the Merlot section of the self-striping. And then I thought this kind of mauvey color went well with the section of the colorway. So as I've mentioned before, this is more or less my own pattern. My jumping off point was Kay Jones's Stitch in Time blanket, but then I just, other than starting with the numbers of stitches for her mitered squares. Everything else I've kind of just gone off script. But what I love about doing these is you can have the same colorway for the self-striping, and yet it looks completely different depending on the yarn that you put it with or the section of the striping that you knit up. So yeah, these are the same colorways, and yet the squares do look very different. So I finished that, and then I finished my socks, and I had an urge to cast on the Wild Atlantic Wildflowers colorway, which in both socks, well, I wanted to cast on these socks. So this is the yarn. It came with a mini skein, and this is on the bedazzled base, so you can probably see a little bit of sparkle. I can see it on here. So before I cast on these socks, which I did just this afternoon, 64 stitches top down, 2mm needle. I am doing the cuffs out of the contrast. I'm going to do the heels also, or the coordinating skein. But before I cast these on, I wanted to take off some of the yarn to do blanket squares. So I'm in the middle of 2 different blanket squares because I was anxious to see how the different parts of the colorway knit up. So this is the first one that I have going. So I've paired it up with this bright green, and in the skein you can see there's not exactly but a similar colored green there, and so I sort of put this green next to, like in the skein, that bright green is separated from this bright pink with a stripe of this gray. So I thought I would carry on that colorway order of this in my block, so that I have wound off what I need to do the second one. And then the other one, I paired up another section of this skein, there's that green, with this dark purple square. In the colorway, it's difficult to see maybe, let's see if I can show you. So one of the stripes is a dark purple, not exactly the same as this dark purple, but similar. And so I paired up this yellow and green section with this purple section. And so that is on its way. So again, same colorway of self-striping, looks completely different because of where I took the stripes from. And so once those are done, they will have borders put on them out of the plain vanilla. So I am ready to start doing that with these 2 blocks. Just haven't got around to it yet. So that's kind of a combined work in progress, if you will. By the time I record next time, I should have more of this done. So what I'm going to do is, as I said, I'm going to put the cuffs in this, and then in the center of my skein is, it starts off with the silver, and then it goes into that dark purple, and that's the same striping sequence as the socks. So I'm just going to be following the same color sequence by starting it with this bright blue, which isn't that a gorgeous, gorgeous shade. I was inspired to pick up this yarn because there's one of our members on Ravelry has recently knit a shorty pair and a regular pair out of this colorway in the Mountain Tweed BFL base. And I think I told her both times I saw her finished pair, like that just makes me want to knit them. So I decided, hey, let's just move this up in the queue and cast them on, because I am not quite ready yet for my September Personal Sock Yarn Club socks. So this will tide me over in the meantime. I've got a very fancy project bag for this pair of socks so far. I will slip these into a cloth bag, but I had the yarn stored in here to go away with last few days ago, and so I hadn't taken it out. So there's my blanket of cheer and my latest pair of socks. And I have one more project that I am really excited about, and yet it's kind of totally out of my usual style and comfort zone. So in a roundabout way, I ended up on looking for something on the Sweet Georgia Yarns website, and came across, I think it was the blog, which was talking about the latest episode of Felicia Lowe's podcast. I think it's something like Taking Back Fridays, and somehow that's gone off my radar. I don't see it coming up on my feed anymore, and I haven't even thought about watching it for a long time, so I'm going to want to get back to that. But she is working on a crocheted granny square cardigan in these bright colors, and it just captured my imagination. And I thought, wouldn't that be a fun project? And immediately when I realized it was DK weight yarn, immediately my mind, forgive the crinkling, went to this, oh, I've got paper here, hang on. Went to this project set that I purchased from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. I don't remember if it was like last spring or like not this year, but it was either last year or the year before. And it is, it's the Mountain Tweed Merino DK base, which, I turn it around so I can read it on the thing. That is an 85-15 superwash merino Donegal NEP nylon DK. The NEP part is nylon. And this is the River Rocks colorway, and I knit a pair of socks from this colorway quite a long time ago. It's one of my favorite Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarns colorways. And so I purchased this set, so it has 6 colors. And you can see it sort of has 6 neutrals, kind of a cream, a light gray, and a plain vanilla off-white. And then there's spruce, this is, I think, dark purple, I think it's called. Dark purple, or deep purple, and then this deep mauve color, it's kind of pinky. And so I just thought, well, I don't even know the last time I had made a granny square or crocheted anything at all for that matter. But one night I just pulled it out and started experimenting, and oh, it's so fun. So my plan is to use all 6 of those colors in the granny squares. And then I've just ordered a kind of a charcoal gray in the same base from Fiber Nymph Dye Works that I'm going to do the final round, which is the joining round of each square. I will have put a picture in by now, or I'll put it in here. You will see it's a granny square cardigan with knit sleeves and a knit bottom band and knit like a neck band, button band. And so I think that will set off the colors nicely, and the combination of crochet and knit, I think I'm comfortable with. I like that idea of combining the two, and I feel like it's just kind of a fun sort of, I think when I was creating the project in Ravelry, I think one of the suggestions for tags that came up was boho chic or boho. I don't consider myself boho anything, but it just looked like fun. So I have done five squares so far. So there's one. And what I've been doing so far is alternating a neutral and a color. I need 36 squares, which means that I can do 6 squares with each color in, like each, if I do 36 squares, there will be the opportunity for each color to be in each spot 6 times. And so there's part of me that sort of has a bit of an urge to just crochet up 5 more of these green centers, 5 more of each color, and just have them all ready to go. But I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. I'll just see how the wind takes me. So there's one. This one I started with a color and alternated with a neutral. This one I started with a neutral, alternated with the colors. So, there's another kind of colored one. Another neutral. And then I was weaving in ends and realized I'd made a mistake on this one, so I had to take it back. So you see I've done the ends. I actually just took it back and recrocheted it today, just this afternoon, even though I noticed the mistake a few days ago. And then as I was picked it up again and looked at it, I realized I actually had 2 mistakes. I had, in both cases, only done 1 double crochet into a space here instead of 3. And yeah, maybe I could have left it, but especially when I saw that I had done the same thing on the outside. I had done it on the pink round and then also on the green round, so I thought, no. And it didn't take me any time at all to redo it. So I tend to be a perfectionist about certain things, and I wanted it to be right. So I guess my next one is going to start with this sand color, and yeah, we'll just see where it takes me. So this has been really fun to work on, just a totally different kind of project than I usually do. And it's just, yeah, it's fun to pick up crochet again. I'd forgotten how much I enjoyed it. Well, I shouldn't say I'd forgotten how much I enjoyed it. It's one of those things I keep thinking, oh, that would be fun to do again, and then I never get around to it. So I'm happy to finally get around to it. I have been doing some spinning also. I am still working on this braid of merino sparkle. This is the last third of the braid. I am almost finished the second half of the second part of the braid. It's by Useful Creations, who is a local to me dyer and dealer of spinning related goods. And so yeah, it's so pretty. I still really like the colorway and everything, and I'm having much less trouble with it than when I first started, but I'm spinning it very fine. Here's my first bobbin all done, and yeah, it's just really some of my, I think, the finest spinning I've done. And so it's taking a long time because all of a sudden those braids take forever to spin up when you're only getting that much out of it. So I am planning to do a 2-ply when I'm all done. And yeah, looking forward to finishing it because I have other fiber, which I showed you last episode, from Sweet Georgia Yarns that I am really anxious to get going on. So we'll see how much time I get to spin, between now and next episode, maybe I'll have some new spinning to show you then. That would be cool. So up and coming, as I mentioned, this morning, the Wild Atlantic Wildfire socks were to be cast on. They have since been cast on. But I thought it'd be fun to open up my September Personal Sock Yarn Club yarn as I record. It's always fun for me to see what's inside because most of the time I don't remember. This one, it's a full skein. It feels like maybe a mini skein. I am thinking it might be some Polka Dot Creek. I think it's the Birch colorway, but then I might also have done, I think I have one called Pumpkin Patch or something from them. So maybe that's what it is. I'll tell you in a second as I try to quietly open it around the staples here. Okay, let's see what comes out. Ah, yes, this is the Birch colorway from Polka Dot Creek, who is a Canadian dyer in Alberta near Calgary. And this is the Birch colorway, and then this is chocolate, and this is spruce. And I think I chose this to put this in September because this is kind of reminiscent of, we don't have birch trees up at the cabin, but we do have cottonwoods, and they're not the same but similar. And I think that was the impetus of buying this yarn in the first place, and just probably thought, okay, it's still kind of sometimes cabin weather in September. Not sure if I'm going to make it up there in September, but I think that was why I chose it for September. Anyway, looking forward to casting those on. I'll do some combination of, oh, sorry, I'm just realizing, caught my ear. You might be hearing like a saw and stuff. Our neighbors having work done, quite a bit of it, and I just realized it might be, you may hear it. I've got my window closed in here, but our bedroom window across the hall is open, and I apologize if it's distracting. I haven't noticed it till just this second, so hopefully it's not been bothering you either. Anyway, yeah, I'll do some combination of heels, toes, and cuffs in the minis, and I'll do what I've done with other Polka Dot Creek full skein sets, is I will divide this yarn in two. I will most likely do a toe-up, well, yeah, I usually do a toe-up sock, so I make sure I have enough yarn. We'll see, but yeah, pretty, isn't it pretty? I don't know if you can see, there's like quite a bit of blue there, and a bit of green and yellow, brown, really nice. So looking forward to that. And then this was not on my radar at all, but last week, actually, just before I left the house for a few days away at the cabin, I got a email newsletter from Paper Daisy Creations announcing her next shawl mystery knit-along, which is taking place, it's beginning September 4th, running till the end of October. And there was a link to more information about it, and also the different dyers who are dyeing up sets for it. And I ended up purchasing a set from Sweet Paprika, who is another Canadian yarn dyer, this time back east. She had, in the newsletter, she showed a colorway from, I think it was Miss Babs, that was, oh, the name of the make-along is Wings of Wonder. And there are a number of different bird-themed colorways that she shared. And one was a great blue heron themed colorway. And while Sweet Paprika did not have a blue heron colorway, she did have one from that had been dyed for the Mountain Musings mystery make-along, and it was called, I want to say something like Pinnacle. It was based on the colors in it were based on like a mountaintop, rocky mountaintop. Not sure if that's the right word. I'll put it down at the bottom, or did I actually? Oh, Summit. I did write it down. So the Summit colorway is what I got, but it is a range of blues also. And I can't tell if the contrasting skeins, like the main skein, is dark navy or gray or black. But it's a very dark color, and then all the mini skeins are all different shades of blue, and I think there's a white one in there, or off-white one. So I'm looking forward to receiving it. It's supposed to come this week. So yeah, I kind of hit purchase before I ran out the door to go away, and just like that, I'm going to be doing another mystery knit along this fall. I've done the last 2, I think it is, and have thoroughly enjoyed them, and so I'm looking forward to that, even though it was not on my radar when I planned out my year's of projects. Let me just look quickly around. I think that's all of the crafting to talk about. So I'm just gonna break this recording here just in case sometimes it runs long, so I'm going to just break this now and then save it and then come back and talk to you about what's been happening in my life over the past 2 weeks. So see you in a second. There, that also gave me a chance to warm up my tea, so that's good. So in the past week and a half or so, I've had a lot of family time. First off, my mom was in town for a few days so that she could attend our new great nephew's baptism. And she stayed a couple of those days with us. So my nephew had brought her down, and I went over to his house to pick her up. So that gave me a chance to meet our new great nephew and also have a little visit with his older sister. And I hadn't seen her for quite a while, so it was fun just to see how much she's grown up since I've seen her last. She's very sweet. And so then last Tuesday, my sister who lives in Toronto flew out, and she's officially retired now, or I guess not officially, but as good as. She's technically on vacation at the moment, but she's handed in her laptop and has no more work associations anymore, so she's more or less retired, and really excited at the prospect of having more time to do all sorts of things. So the day after she arrived, she and 2 other sisters went up to the cabins to spend a few days. Our other sister was already up there. She and her husband had driven up a few days earlier with their trailer. And then my brother-in-law left the same day we came up and came back a couple of days after we left. Go figure, he didn't want to spend all that time with 5 women. But we just had a really fantastic visit. We didn't do much other than lots of visiting, and we took a couple of walks to the lake and around to the end of the lake one day. That was really neat because we saw a bunch of different birds. We all love to see the birds. There were some really pretty butterflies at this pond at the end of the lake. There is an osprey nest along the side of the lake with a couple of babies in it, and on our way back from our walk, both parents were right nearby and were able to see the whole family at once. I think it was the father, the male, I think, was eating a fish, and he at some point flew over and looked like he dropped it into the nest, and then the other parent went in and appeared to be feeding the babies. So that was really cool. One night, 3 of us played Clue because my younger sister wanted to do that. So that was definitely a trip down memory lane. I think one afternoon we all kind of just had a little snooze or went off and read books and things like that, had a little quiet time before coming back together. So it was a good mix of together time and a little bit of alone time. And then on the Friday we went into my mom's place. She lives about 17 kilometers or 10-ish miles from the cabins. And we'd all requested that she make her homemade macaroni and cheese for us for dinner. So she decided that she would have us to her place for that rather than come out to the cabins for that. And also she had a little bit of business stuff she wanted to talk to us about. And then we also took that opportunity to divide up her Christmas ornaments. So my dad and her moved up there in 2003, and they never put up a Christmas tree again. Although my mom did continue to buy some Christmas ornaments on her travels as souvenirs, and never ended up, you know, having a tree to put them on. But she had a lot of the ornaments that we were familiar with growing up, which, you know, have a lot of sentimental value. And so she spread out all of her ornaments, and we sorted them between the 5 of us, and it was went very smoothly, you know, as it turned out, except for a couple of things. Was nothing more than one person like really wanted, and so in those cases we just took a deck of cards and high card got the object, and no hard feelings, and it was great. So we all went home with a box of treasures, and there are still plenty of ornaments left over, and I think my mom's gonna either try and sell them at a craft fair or donate them to the school. They have a little like a shopping day, so students can buy ornaments or not ornaments, Christmas presents for their families, you know, at a very minimal cost. And so I think whatever she doesn't sell, she will donate to the school. So yeah, it was just neat though to see a lot of those old ornaments for the first time in just years and years. And things that I'd forgotten she even had. There were certain things we all remembered and all wanted, and in some cases they were part of a set, and so we could each take, you know, a couple of them. So that was really good. And then we enjoyed our macaroni and cheese dinner, and then my mom came back out to the lake, to the cabin with us after that. And she stayed a few days there with my sister, the one whose husband was coming back for her a few days later. They're still up there now for a couple days. And then my Toronto sister has been staying here ever since. So she has been in and out. Today she went for a walk and lunch with our oldest sister late this morning and through lunch hour, and then she came home for a short time, and now she's gone back out again to have a visit at our younger sisters. And she's the grandmother of the new baby, and so actually my nephew's wife just picked her up with the kids to take her over there. So I got to see the kids again, so that's awesome. So yeah, that'll be the first kind of chance Cameron and I have had to be on our own in, I guess, over or about a week. So it'll be nice just to have, I mean, it's been nice to have her here, don't get me wrong, but it'll be nice just to have dinner by ourselves tonight and kind of catch up on things. And then she flies home tomorrow afternoon, And then my best friend is coming for a visit on Thursday. So it's just been a real jam-packed couple of weeks with lots of visits. I've looked after our younger granddaughter a couple of times during the last couple of weeks too, but not as often as I have been because her parents have been on holidays part of that time. They went camping for a few days, so they had a good time with that. Both my sister and my mom overlapped on babysitting days and got to have a good chance to see our granddaughter during that time. And enjoyed that, because if we ever get together as a family, you know, it's just not the same. You don't get that same one-on-one. And then I will have her 3 days next week, and then she's back to school. So the summer is just rapidly coming to an end. That's for sure. So just gonna look at my notes to see if there's anything else I wanted to mention. Oh, we're still trying to get some things done around the house. While I was gone, Cameron sanded our deck. I had really hoped to stain it last year. It just never worked out. This year so far it hasn't. So I'm hoping that over the next couple of weeks we'll have some cooler but drier weather that I can get that done. And there's a few things that still we want to do inside. So I suspect this weekend we'll be doing a fair bit of that kind of stuff. I think that just about covers it. I am hoping and planning to be back with you again in a couple of weeks. As I mentioned, I do have our granddaughter here for a few days next week, but the following week should be a little bit freer and quieter. Although if the weather is just right, I may be painting. So we'll just see how all that turns out. Before I say goodbye, I'll just leave you with something good. And as you might have guessed, my something good for this episode is the time that I spent with my sisters. It was just really cool being all together, and there's just that comfort and familiarity that's unique to siblings, I think. Lots of reminiscing and just enjoyed each other's company. What I didn't mention is that before we went to our mom's place, we visited this natural attraction just north of where she lives called the Painted Chasm. And it's basically a big hole in the ground that was created by glacial meltwater. And we hadn't been there all together, probably since we were kids, although some of us have been there, you know, more than once since that time. But since we were kids, they've expanded the trail system, and we were able to see things from some other angles and to see how things have changed. There used to be a lake that was in the very bottom of this big canyon, which is no longer there. Still very green where it is, so I'm sure there's still water down there, but not enough to form a lake anymore. And then on our way back to my mom's, we did stop at the cemetery and visit our dad and aunts and uncles and grandparents who are all buried together there. And then it was really cool. I meant to mention this earlier. On our way home, there were the four of us again traveling together, and our sister from Toronto had mentioned reading about part of the old highway being accessible adjacent to one of the current tunnels that forms part of this highway system. This particular tunnel was built in 1961, and sure enough, we did make a stop on our way home, and beside it is part of the old highway running alongside the tunnel. The asphalt's all really old. There's lots of grass and flowers and things growing up in this asphalt, and there's an area where part of the road has just crumbled away, but we were able to walk the trail for a little bit, or the road, I guess, a little bit, and then finally came to a spot where there was a lot of wire fencing. So we didn't go any further than that, but you could look down to the river. It was a scene of the river that we've never seen from that vantage point before, because we would be in the tunnel. So there was a railway bridge with a waterfall coming out underneath it and a little power station, and so that was just a view of the canyon we've never had. And along the old road there were some old power poles, and some were quite a ways off the road. They've obviously, made their way down the canyon walls as time has passed by. So that was a really neat place to visit on the way home. So I do have some footage of some butterflies and the ospreys and the chasm and that trail that I will put together and put at the end of this episode if you're interested in tagging along with me for a little bit of my sister's visit. We also got a really great picture of us in front of the lake, which I will not share because they're not part of the podcast, but it's nice to have a really nice keepsake from that trip. My sister leaves tomorrow, so it'll be sad to see her go, but she and her husband are coming back again for Christmas, so looking forward to another visit then. All right, I think that is it. So thank you so much for watching. As always, I always appreciate all of your comments and participation in the Ravelry group and the make-alongs there. I'm a little bit behind now on those. I think I caught up just before I went away. It'll be another couple of days until I can catch up again. But I do always look forward to seeing what you're all making and what you're up to. So keep it coming. Take care. I hope to see you again in a couple of weeks. Bye for now.